Did you know that the Aztecs used two completely unique calendars that worked in perfect harmony with each other? The first, the ritual Tonalpohualli, consisted of 260 days and was an integral part of their religious life. The Aztecs believed that each day was governed by a specific deity, and that is why they performed complex rituals to appease their gods. The second calendar, the Xiuhpohualli, had a solar basis and lasted 365 days. This was the calendar that marked the change of seasons, harvest time, and important events in the life of the people. The most intriguing aspect is that both calendars were combined in a cycle that lasted 52 years, a period during which they intersected, and the Aztecs anticipated great changes. At the end of each such cycle, a fire renewal ceremony took place, which was both terrifying and majestic. On this night, the Aztecs gathered on the summit of the sacred mountain, where they burned their old symbols and lit a new fire, fearing that if they failed to do so in time, the world would end. They carefully observed the sky, tracking every movement of the stars to predict astronomical phenomena and important dates. These observations were not just scientific interests. They were connected to their religious beliefs about the cycles of life and death and how the gods controlled time. The calendar cycles were rhythmic, like the flow of a river, and each event was marked by complex ceremonies filled with music and dance. The Aztecs created a system that ensured remarkable accuracy in calculations, allowing them to predict solar and lunar eclipses with astonishing precision. For example, they could predict a solar eclipse several years in advance, which caused both awe and fear among people, as it was a sign of divine intervention. Have you ever considered how such a complex system could have influenced their society and culture? For the Aztecs, time and space were not just abstractions, but living, breathing elements of their world, filled with meaning and grandeur. Imagine, in the hushed silence of dawn, when the world is bathed in soft light, ancient people gather at the Gosek Circle, a Neolithic structure dated to around 4,900 years before our era, located in Germany. This place, consisting of concentric rings of earthen banks, wooden posts, and palisades, was used for observing the sky. Here, among these ancient constructions, precisely aligned passages allowed people to track the sunrise and sunset on key days of the year, such as the solstices. But this is not the only place where people attempted to understand cosmic cycles. Stonehenge, built in Britain, is a monumental structure of massive stones arranged in a circle, also serving as an astronomical observatory. Did you know that at this moment the solar disk rises precisely between two stones, creating the sensation that the cosmos itself is revealing its secrets? Newgrange, an Irish tomb built around 3,500 years before our era, also demonstrates remarkable precision. On the winter solstice, sunlight streams through a narrow passage, illuminating the inner chamber and creating a magical effect. And that's not all. Mayan observatories like El Castillo in Chichen Itza used complex astronomical calculations to determine the timing of the rainy season and harvest, ensuring the prosperity of their civilizations. As the sun's rays begin to filter through the openings of these ancient structures, people feel a profound connection to the celestial cycles, sensing that they are part of something greater. In these moments, when the echo of their footsteps resonates in the silence, they realize their lives, their destinies are linked to the heavens and their mysteries. For thousands of years, these observatories have been witnesses to humanity's quest to understand its place in the vast cosmos. And the most astonishing thing? These ancient structures could predict solar eclipses with an accuracy that we are only now beginning to comprehend. On the remote island of Easter, surrounded by the boundless Pacific Ocean, stand majestic moai, stone statues that reach heights of 10 meters and weigh up to 80 tons. These monumental figures carved from volcanic tuff are not just works of art, but also enigmas shrouded in mystery. Each statue possesses unique features, long faces with prominent features, massive bodies, and high heads adorned with traditional pukao, hats made of red stone. The placement of moai along the island's coast creates the impression that they silently watch the endless ocean waves, their roar audible even from a distance. It is intriguing that different methods were used to move these giants from the quarries to their final locations. From the theory of logs rolling under the statues to a more exotic hypothesis that the moai walked on their bases, swaying from side to side. Imagine a group of people harnessing the power of nature to make these enormous stone figures move as if they come to life under the wind's relentless touch. The sense of isolation and mystery that envelops the entire island is amplified by the desolate landscapes and rare sounds, interrupted only by the roar of the ocean and the soft whisper of the wind sharing its secrets. There are more than 900 moai scattered across the island, each one containing a story and cultural heritage of the people who once inhabited these lands. Scientific research indicates that the construction and installation of the statues spanned several centuries, yet the exact methods used for these monumental projects remain a mystery. Behind these stone giants, it sometimes seems that time has stopped, and the island holds countless unsolved mysteries waiting for their moment. In the heart of the highlands of Bolivia lies a mysterious monument that continues to intrigue researchers and travelers, the Sun Gate of Tiwanaku. These gates, approximately 3 meters tall and 4 meters wide, are carved from heavy andesite, weighing up to 10 tons. But they are more than just a massive structure. The central part features a bas-relief of the god with rays, whose face is surrounded by rays symbolizing solar energy. What's even more astonishing, this bas-relief may be connected to astronomical events such as equinoxes and solstices. The gates are precisely aligned with the sunrise point on the winter solstice, making them not only an architectural but also an astronomical marvel. And if that's not enough, around the central figure are mysterious symbols that remain untranslated. Each of these signs seems to hold a key to understanding the ancient knowledge and beliefs of the Tiwanaku civilization. In this sacred space, the air is thin, and when light pierces through the clouds, it plays on the carved surfaces, creating an atmosphere filled with mystery and grandeur. The place where the Sun Gate stands radiates sacred energy, making each person who comes here feel a connection to something greater than just ancient architecture. And if you think that's all, prepare for even more fascinating discoveries. Within the structure of the gates, astronomical markers have been found that point to significant days in the calendar of the ancient inhabitants. For instance, during the equinoxes, these gates served as a kind of calendar tool, allowing the ancient people to accurately track the seasons. But that's not all. Some researchers suggest that the Sun Gate may have been connected to rituals of worship dedicated to the solar deity. Interestingly, upon closer examination, the gate's construction is perfectly harmonized with the landscape, opening new horizons for understanding the engineering skills of the ancient builders. These gates are not just a part of the landscape, they are a whole system of symbols and meanings that may tell the story of the spiritual life of those who created them. The Sun Gate continues to hold its secrets, and each new researcher who comes here adds a page to this captivating history. And now you have the opportunity to become a part of this enigma that takes your breath away. Imagine a desert where the hot air shimmers above the scorching sand and giant drawings are hidden on the ground, visible only from a bird's-eye view. The lines of Nazca are not just geoglyphs, but true works of art depicting animals, plants, and geometric figures stretching for hundreds of meters. Some of them measure up to 370 meters in length, and their precision is astonishing. The lines are perfectly straight, clear, and have remained intact for centuries despite the harsh desert conditions. How did ancient people manage to create such massive and detailed images? There are several theories about their purpose. Some researchers suggest they could have served as a calendar, helping local residents track the seasons and rainfall cycles. Others believe they might have been maps of water sources guiding people to rare ponds. But the most intriguing theories propose that the geoglyphs were ritual paths or messages to gods intended to ensure prosperity and harvest. Consider how the barren landscape of the desert contrasts with the delicacy of these images, which seem to connect earth and sky. The rustling of sand underfoot, the heat from the sun, and the scale of these creations make you wonder what secrets these ancient lines hold. They leave us with a question: how exactly did people of that time organize such large-scale construction using only simple tools? And what's even more astonishing, scientists still haven't reached a consensus on how these geoglyphs were created or what their true purpose was. Legends of sunken continents captivate the imagination, and the search for Atlantis, described by Plato, evokes a sense of awe. In his dialogues Timaeus and Critias, he first mentioned a mysterious island state that, according to his accounts, lay beyond the Pillars of Hercules and was far more advanced than the civilization of his time. Plato described Atlantis as a place rich in natural resources with magnificent architecture, vast fields and powerful fleets. But where to look for this legendary country? Scientific research has led to numerous hypotheses, each adding its own layer to this intriguing puzzle. Some researchers believe that Atlantis could have been located in the Mediterranean Sea, possibly on the island of Santorini, where a catastrophic volcanic eruption in ancient times destroyed a thriving Minoan civilization. Others suggest that its location extends into the depths of the Atlantic Ocean, where remnants of unknown cities may lie hidden beneath the waves. But this is not all. Hypotheses about the location of Atlantis even extend to the North Sea, where some point to possible submerged lands left over from the last ice age. And what about the Caribbean basin? One version claims that it is here, among coral reefs and vibrant tropical waters, that the secrets of an ancient civilization are hidden. Even Antarctica is not left out of this story. Some researchers assert that beneath the ice could be traces of Atlantis, perhaps lost due to global climate changes. Imagine the sound of waves crashing against the rocks, whispering ancient secrets, the salty tang of the sea filling the air, and the feeling of the boundless expanse of water holding the remnants of a long-lost world. The search for this mysterious land continues, and each new discovery could redefine our understanding of ancient history. One of the latest findings in underwater archaeology points to the presence of unusual structures on the seabed near the Azores, raising questions. Could Atlantis have been closer than we thought? In the Knossos Palace, located on Crete, mysteries lie hidden that continue to captivate the minds of archaeologists and researchers. Its multi-layered structure comprises more than 1,000 rooms connected by intricate corridors, which, it is said, mirror the myth of the labyrinth. Imagine walking through these narrow paths, and you might easily get lost, as if in the tale of the Minotaur. But this is not just a confusing layout, it is innovative architecture, utilizing light wells that allow sunlight to penetrate even the darkest corners of the palace. Moreover, the scent of the sea wafts through the corridors from the open courtyards, creating the sensation that nature and architecture are united. Did you know that this architectural marvel featured advanced engineering systems? For instance, complex drainage systems and water supply, which provided the palace with clean water and disposed of waste, a true achievement for its time. Vibrant frescoes on the walls depict scenes from the lives of the Minoans, not only pleasing the eye, but also telling the story of a culture where the bull held a central place. Its image can be found on many of the murals, underscoring the importance of the bull cult. In the throne room, adorned with exquisite motifs and patterns, stood a throne made of stone and wood, which, according to some theories, belonged to the king himself. Meanwhile, the palace's storage rooms housed grain and oil reserves, as well as unique tablets with Linear A script, providing valuable insights into trade and economy of the era. The sounds of life in the palace, from the footsteps of servants to the laughter of children, echo through the corridors, creating an atmosphere filled with life and history. And the most remarkable thing? When you find yourself in this place, you feel as if you have stepped into another world, where every detail, every sound, and every shadow imbued with the joyous energy of ancient rituals and customs. Once upon a time, in the harbour of Rhodes, there stood the Colossus, the greatest statue that impressed everyone who approached the island. The height of this bronze giant was around 33 meters, comparable to a 10-story building. Imagine, bronze rays of the sun reflected off its surface, creating a dazzling spectacle that from afar attracted sailors and travelers. The statue was erected on a massive stone base, and its image could vary depending on interpretation. Some believed it depicted the sun god Helios, while others saw it as a symbol of victory over Macedonia. But that was not the most unusual thing. There was even a theory that the Colossus served as a lighthouse, guiding ships into the harbour with its impressive size and splendour. The sound of waves crashing against the statue's base created an atmosphere filled with anticipation and awe as sailors saw this monument symbolizing safety and prosperity. The construction of the Colossus was completed in 280 BC, and it stood guard over the island for only a few decades. People would gather around the statue discussing its greatness and purpose until a devastating earthquake around 226 or 227 BC brought it crashing down. And what's even more astonishing, even after its destruction, the remains of the Colossus were still an impressive sight, inspiring other builders to create new statues and monuments. According to legend, even centuries later, travelers would come to the site where the Colossus once stood, filling it with legends and dreams of the return of this great wonder. Magnificent Sphinx of Giza, 73 meters long and 20 meters high, forever guards the mysteries carved from monolithic limestone which seems to have endured centuries. Imagine this colossal guardian gazing at the world, its weathered stone telling tales of thousands of years, possibly more than 4,000 years old. But what is truly astonishing are the enigmas hidden within this monument. There are numerous theories about its purpose. Some believe it to be a protector of the necropolis, others see it as a symbol of the solar deity, while others suggest it serves as an astronomical marker, pointing to significant celestial events. But that's not all. Have you heard of the Dream of Tutmosis? This legend tells of a great pharaoh who, waking one morning, found the Sphinx speaking to him, foretelling the fate of Egypt. And perhaps, hidden beneath its paws, are secret chambers still waiting to be discovered. When the sun's light touches its face, it plays with shadows, creating mysterious images that change throughout the day. In the morning, its features appear softer, while by sunset they become sharper, as if awakening to life. This creates a sense of grandeur and antiquity that is hard to put into words. Each crack, each mark of time on its surface seems to tell the story of a civilization that once thrived here. And so imagine every visitor passing by wondering, what else does this monument conceal? What new light might archaeological excavations shed on its history, yet to be uncovered? In the Atacama Desert, where the scorching air creates a sensation that time seems to stand still throughout the day, lies one of the most mysterious geoglyphs, the Giant of Atacama. This enormous anthropomorphic drawing, reaching a height of 92 meters, is carved directly into the slope of a hill and can only be seen from above. Imagine this. The dark lines of the figure sharply contrast with the light background of the desert, like an ancient message left for observers from the sky. The technique of its creation remains a subject of debate. Researchers suggest that ancient people used simple tools to remove the top layer of soil, leaving only the light ground in the form of clear outlines. The age of this geoglyph varies from 1 to 2,000 years, making it one of the oldest art monuments in this region. What could it have signified? There are several theories, each opening new horizons for contemplation. One of the most popular hypotheses is that the giant of Atacama served as an astronomical marker, helping ancient peoples navigate the night sky. Other researchers suggest that this giant drawing could have been connected to deities representing fertility or indicated the presence of water sources in the arid desert. The feeling that the giant of Atacama was created with the intention of interacting with celestial forces permeates the atmosphere of this place. Around the geoglyph, silence reigns, broken only by a soft breeze that brings with it the warmth of the sun and light grains of sand, reminding us of the time when people with deep knowledge of nature and the cosmos lived here. Each time you look at this drawing, you get the impression that it holds secrets that humanity has not yet deciphered, and the mysteries surrounding the giant of Atacama are becoming more numerous. For example, what ritual or event could this monument have been associated with? Imagine a thriving civilization creating masterpieces of art and architecture suddenly disappearing in chaos and panic. The Minoans, who lived on the island of Crete, built palace complexes with exquisite plumbing and sewage systems, true engineering marvels of their time. These palaces, such as the famous Knossos, were adorned with vibrant frescoes depicting marine landscapes and ritual dances. Their maritime trade extended from Egypt to every corner of the Aegean Sea, making them one of the first to establish such a high level of trade. But around 1600 BC, all this came crashing down when a catastrophic volcanic eruption occurred on the island of Santorini. The roar of the eruption was heard hundreds of kilometers away, and tsunamis swept the shores of Crete, destroying everything in their path. Ash filled the sky and blocked out the sun, plunging once bright cities into darkness. Studies show that the eruption caused abrupt climate changes that devastated the agricultural sector, the mainstay of the Minoan economy. But that's not all. Many historians suggest that the decline could also have been linked to the invasion of the Mycenaeans, who sought to seize the wealth of the Minoans. Internal social conflicts could also have played a role, weakening the unity of society. How could such a developed culture, possessing advanced technologies, have been on the brink of extinction? Terrifying rumors of an impending catastrophe and panic swept through the people when news of the eruption reached the capital. Neighboring cities, once prosperous, were now gripped by fear and chaos. Streets echoed with cries, and palaces, once filled with life and trade, fell silent. Survivors tried to escape, but where could they go when the sea raged and the sky darkened with ash? And what's even more shocking, some researchers claim that even after the catastrophe, remnants of Minoan culture continued to exist for several more centuries, but in a changed form, under the pressure of the Mycenaeans and other civilizations. Every year, twice, the sun's rays penetrate the temple of Abu Simbel, illuminating the enormous statue of Rameses II, and this occurs precisely at the moment when the sun rises in the east. You can imagine the silence that envelops many people who, holding their breath in anticipation, witness the light filtering through narrow slits, creating a magical interplay of light and shadow that immerses everyone in an atmosphere of awe. But this is not all. The Pyramid of Kukulkan in Chichen Itza becomes the stage for a fantastic spectacle during the equinoxes. The sun lowly slides along its edges, and shadows create the illusion of a snake crawling up the stairs. Picture the crowds of spectators holding their breath, watching this magical moment when light and shadow merge as if in a magical dance, awakening ancient legends of the divine. Stonehenge, the magnificent circle of stones, is aligned so that on the day of the summer solstice, the sun disk seems to enter one of the stones, creating the sensation that time stands still. Whispers of wonder fill the air as observers realize that these stones were constructed with such precision that even modern technology cannot always explain how it was done. It is incredible, but the ancient builders, without advanced technology, used stars and the sun as their tools, creating structures that were not only architectural masterpieces but also astronomical calendars. These constructions served them not only as cult sites but also as crucial references, allowing them to predict the change of seasons and important agricultural cycles. Every stone, every angle, every shadow was calculated to the smallest detail, making these structures true mysteries for contemporary archaeologists and astronomers. And this is not all, because you will learn how these ancient cultures used their knowledge of celestial phenomena to create other amazing monuments that continue to amaze scientists to this day. Under the Cappadocia region in Turkey lies an expansive network of subterranean cities, some of which extend to 20 levels deep. Imagine descending narrow stone staircases, and a cool breeze envelops you, as if you've entered another world. In the darkness, footsteps are muffled, and the flickering light of torches reflects off the walls carved from volcanic tuff, creating an atmosphere of seclusion and safety. These underground structures, such as the city of Derinkuyu, could house thousands of people, and their complex infrastructure includes ventilation shafts, water wells, and even security systems with massive stone doors that could be closed in case of danger. Scholars suggest that these cities served as shelters from persecution or enemy raids, as well as storage and production sites for wine, as evidenced by the discovery of amphora and traces of winemaking operations. However, this is not all. Some theories propose that the subterranean cities were religious centers where residents sought refuge and tranquility away from the tumultuous world. How were such massive underground constructions possible? Work was done with simple tools, yet while the technology was primitive, the human spirit and drive for survival were immense. Within these caverns, entire communities could remain safe for months. Did you know that some cities have entire tunnels connecting different levels, where one can easily get lost? These labyrinths provided not only protection, but also allowed residents to move between different parts of the city without going to the surface. Such subterranean complexes remain a mystery, and many aspects of their use and construction remain unclear. For instance, how many people could actually reside in these underground spaces simultaneously? Statistics indicate that in some cases the population could exceed 10,000, challenging our understanding of how such large-scale shelters were organized. Imagine ancient surgeons armed with primitive tools, drilling holes in the skulls of their patients, and this was not an uncommon practice. This procedure, known as trepanation, has roots going back to the Neolithic period, and remarkably many of these patients survived. Evidence of healing is found on skulls dating back tens of thousands of years. Archaeologists have discovered skulls with multiple holes drilled into them, confirming that ancient people were not just experimenting, but had specific medical knowledge. In Pompeii, surgical instruments were found that resemble primitive versions of modern scalpels and forceps. These tools were made of bronze and iron, and their sharp edges could leave marks on bones when surgeons attempted to set fractures or remove tumors. In ancient Egypt, medical papyri contained recipes and descriptions of procedures used to treat various ailments. For example, the Ebers Papyrus, dating back to the 6th century BC, includes over 70 surgical methods, and even mentions anesthesia using the scent of poppy and other herbs. Picture the aroma of poppy juice filling the air during an operation, as the sound of tools scraping against bones fills the room, and the patient, despite the pain, hopes for recovery. Ayurvedic practices in India add another layer of intrigue. Ancient physicians used a combination of herbs and massage for healing, and their knowledge of the human body was astonishingly deep. They understood that each body is unique and requires an individual approach. But what is truly shocking is that in some cases surgeons even implanted metal implants into patients' bodies, which today is considered an incredible achievement. And this is just the tip of the iceberg, as we have not yet delved into the world of ancient medicine, which is full of secrets and mysteries waiting to be discovered. In the heart of Costa Rica lie mysterious stone spheres that astound with their precision and scale, ranging from several centimeters to 2.5 meters in diameter and weighing up to 16 tons. These perfectly spherical objects, primarily made of granodiorite, possess nearly perfect spherical forms, raising questions about how ancient craftsmen could have created such masterpieces. Imagine the humid air of a tropical forest, where these massive spheres contrast with the chaotic environment of the jungle. Dense vines, vibrant flowers, and noisy birds create the perfect backdrop for these man-made wonders. What were the reasons for their creation? Some researchers suggest that these spheres could have served as astronomical markers, helping ancient peoples navigate by the stars. Others believe they could have been symbols of status, demonstrating the wealth and power of those who created them. But there's more. The arrangement of the spheres in certain geometric patterns raises even more questions. Did you know that some of them are aligned in lines that are believed to point to significant astronomical events? This creates a sense that each sphere holds an unsolved mystery connected to ancient civilizations that once inhabited these lands. Yet, despite numerous studies, the exact purpose of these stone objects remains unknown and continues to attract the attention of scientists and tourists from around the world. And the most astonishing part, some of these spheres were found in places where their presence seems completely illogical, as if they are part of a larger system waiting to be revealed. Imagine bustling streets of an ancient city where every sound is an echo of life and the scents of markets and workshops blend into a captivating symphony. In the valley of the Indus River, where cities like Harappa and Mohenjo-daro once thrived, there was a remarkable urban planning with a grid of streets reminiscent of modern megacities. Houses made of fired brick stood tall above 30-meter-wide streets, while intricate sewage systems, meticulously designed, ensured cleanliness and order in the lives of the city dwellers. Every weight and measure was standardized, fostering the prosperity of trade and crafts. But what happened to this extraordinary civilization? Theories about its disappearance are astonishing. A change in the course of rivers leading to drought and water scarcity could have been a key factor in its decline. But that's not all. Changes in climate over centuries could have had catastrophic consequences. Imagine entire generations facing famine and diseases. Some researchers claim that invasions by Aryan tribes added fuel to the fire, disrupting the peaceful way of life. In Mohenjo-daro, for instance, the magnificent citadel stood as a symbol of former power, but even it couldn't protect the city from impending disasters. The Great Bath, built with perfect precision, served not only for ritual ablutions, but also for public gatherings where residents exchanged news and goods. Gradually, the streets emptied, and the noise of crowded squares was replaced by silence. The wind whispered about the once thriving centers. What's even more shocking, archaeologists still find artifacts that can reveal the secrets of this remarkable civilization, and some of them remain unsolved. Do you know that the idea of the Earth being spherical originated long before the great epochs of discovery? The Pythagoreans, who lived in the 6th century BC, already proposed the hypothesis of a spherical Earth. They observed the starry sky and noted that stars visible in one part of the world disappear in another, which is impossible with a flat model. Aristotle in the 4th century BC confirmed this theory, providing evidence. He noticed that during lunar eclipses, the shadow of the Earth on the moon is always circular, indicating its spherical shape. However, the most impressive discovery was made by Eratosthenes in the 2nd century BC. This scholar did not merely guess the shape of the planet, he measured its circumference with remarkable accuracy. Using the difference in angles of sunlight falling on 2 different cities in Egypt, he calculated that the circumference of the Earth is approximately 60,000 kilometers, which deviates from modern estimates by only a few percent. In the educated circles of most ancient civilizations, from India to Mesopotamia, there was also knowledge of the Earth's sphericity. For example, ancient sailors could observe how ships gradually disappear over the horizon, which also confirmed the idea of the curvature of the surface. Moreover, their understanding of the starry sky was based on observations of how stars revolve around the North Star, a phenomenon that cannot be explained if one assumes that the Earth is flat. In this context, it is worth noting that even in ancient China and Mesopotamia, scholars pondered the shape of the planet. Imagine how, in dark nights, looking at the stars, the sages of those times tried to unravel the mysteries of the universe. They sought answers in the celestial bodies, and during eclipses they saw how the Earth casts a circular shadow on the Moon, which was yet another confirmation of their theories. Remarkably, even in those times, people had navigation tools based on knowledge of celestial bodies, allowing them to travel long distances once they realized that their world was much larger than they could have imagined. And now when we look at the night sky, can we imagine that thousands of years ago under the same stars, there were debates about whether the Earth is not flat, but spherical? While we marvel at the grandeur of the pyramids, it is worth pondering, how did the ancient Egyptians work with granite, diorite, and basalt, stones with a hardness of 7 to 8 on the Mohs scale? These materials, which today are difficult to even imagine in the hands of an unarmed person, were processed with such precision that their surfaces still gleam like mirrors. The smoothness of these stones has been preserved for thousands of years, and if you tap on them, the sound will remind you of a melodious, resonant hum. In ancient times, to cut perfect right angles and cylindrical holes with minimal deviation, methods were used that are still debated by scientists. Some suggest that the Egyptians used abrasive sand and copper saws, while others propose more exotic theories about sound technologies that could affect the structure of the stone. It is known that abrasive materials like sand were used in combination with metal tools, but the process that allowed achieving such perfect finish remains a mystery. How did they achieve such precision in drilling? For example, some blocks have holes with a diameter of just a few centimeters, executed with remarkable accuracy. Behind this lies not only skill, but also deep knowledge of the properties of stones, which, seemingly, could not be processed with such ease. Imagine the craftsman working with copper tools, which dynasties could create over decades. Each movement had to be precise and calculated because an extra step could mean losing precious material. To achieve the shine we see today, stones were polished using natural abrasives like sand, mixed with water to create a paste that allowed for a smooth surface. But how could they work with such hard materials as diorite, which is comparable in hardness to modern diamond tools? Some researchers suggest that more complex methods were used, such as the application of resonant sounds that could change the molecular structure of the stones. But how is this possible? If this theory is true, then the ancient Egyptians could manipulate stone not only physically, but also on a sound transmission level. It is worth noting that even with modern technologies, creating stone artifacts like obelisks up to 28 meters tall remains a challenge for engineers. These obelisks, cut from granite with an accuracy of up to a centimeter, are impressive in their weight and size. One of them weighs around 300 tons. How did the Egyptians manage to lift and move such colossal blocks? This is a question that still does not have a definitive answer. Every discovery in the field of stone processing opens new horizons, and perhaps we are in store for even more astonishing facts and revelations about the ancient masters who left us these enigmatic artifacts capable of inspiring awe even after thousands of years. Vedic texts such as the Mahabharata are filled with descriptions that make one ponder the technologies that should not have existed in ancient times. One of the most astonishing mentions is that of shining weapons, which are said to be brighter than the light of 1,000 suns. After their use, food became poisoned, and the survivors lost their hair and nails. All of this sounds like a scene from a science fiction film, yet it is recorded in the pages of ancient manuscripts. How could such things appear in texts written more than 2,000 years ago? A sense of awe and reverence fills the imagination when reading these lines, as they connect an archaic language with images that seem like genuine scientific discoveries. Now imagine vimanas, flying machines, as described in Vedic texts, capable of moving through space like birds and even passing through clouds. Their designs seem so complex that it appears ancient Indians possessed knowledge that we are only beginning to master today. But this is not the most peculiar thing. In ancient Chinese texts, there are also mentions of mirrors that could transmit images over distances. How is this possible? How could people without access to modern technologies describe such devices with such precision? These descriptions raise questions about what knowledge was lost or hidden from us. What is even more shocking, these texts do not merely describe technologies, they also touch upon concepts that seem to be ahead of our time, such as the use of energy and its manipulation. Technologies that could change the very nature of war and existence. In the Mahabharata, battles are even described where powerful energies were used, capable of causing destruction on a scale that is hard to imagine. Each line invites further exploration, a deeper dive into this fascinating topic. Before us lie the legacies left by our ancestors, filled with riddles and challenges to our understanding of history and technology. But what are the true roots of these knowledge? Perhaps they are hidden in yet undeciphered pages of ancient texts, waiting for us to unlock them. Have you ever wondered about a device that could generate electricity 2,000 years before the advent of modern technology? The Baghdad battery, dated around 250 years before our era, is a clay pot containing a copper cylinder and an iron rod. This artifact, reminiscent of a small barrel, has long intrigued scientists and adventurers alike. Imagine the feeling of the tarnished metal, evoking the past, and the weight of the ancient device in your hands, like a heavy legacy. Initially, it appears to be a simple vessel, but when filled with an electrolyte, something extraordinary happens. The device begins to generate voltage, causing a mild tingling sensation upon touch. Experiments conducted by modern scientists have confirmed that such a battery could produce a voltage of 2 to 8 volts, enough to power some small electrical devices. But why did ancient people need such a device? One theory suggests that the Baghdad battery was used for gilding, allowing the creation of a gold or silver coating on less valuable materials. Another theory proposes that it was used for medical purposes, possibly to treat various ailments with electrical current. The most intriguing hypothesis, however, is that the device was used for religious miracles, perhaps to create effects perceived as divine. The sensation of a mild tingling experienced by those who touched the working device created an atmosphere of mystery and sanctity. The Baghdad battery is not just an artifact. It is a key to understanding how far ancient civilizations advanced in their experiments with electricity. And here's what's most intriguing. Some researchers believe that such technologies could have been widely used, but we simply haven't discovered other examples yet. Imagine standing before ancient cave paintings where figures clad in spacesuits resemble real astronauts. The theory of paleocontact posits that Earth may have once been visited by extraterrestrial civilizations, leaving their marks on human culture and mythology. Vedic texts describe vimanas, flying machines capable of moving through the air at incredible speeds, and it is known that these are not merely the fantasies of ancient people, but possibly evidence of contact with highly advanced beings. The most striking images are those of figures resembling astronauts found in Mexican caves, where ancient Mayans depicted cosmonauts alongside gods, raising questions about how they could have known such images. There are even several medieval frescoes depicting flying saucers in the sky, which makes one wonder what truly happened in those times. Proponents of the paleocontact theory point to the sudden appearance of complex technologies in various civilizations, which they believe could not have occurred without the intervention of more advanced beings. For instance, how can one explain the construction of pyramids if not by suggesting that ancient builders could have received knowledge from extraterrestrials? However, scientists criticize these ideas, arguing that such assumptions lack sufficient evidence and may simply be the result of human imagination. Here arises the question, how did ancient people perceive encounters with beings possessing technologies that would have seemed magical? A sense of awe and fear before the unknown could have filled their hearts as they gazed into the eyes of beings who might have changed the course of history. Vedic texts mention gods descending from the heavens, and this is not just a metaphor. For many, it could have been a real experience. Consider how many mysteries history holds and what else might be discovered in the depths of archaeological excavations. For example, there are numerous cave paintings that remain unexplained, and each new artifact could add a new chapter to this enigmatic story. At the heart of Mexico lies Teotihuacan, a city shrouded in legend whose scale is breathtaking. The pyramids of the sun and the moon tower against the clear sky, their dimensions are simply colossal. The height of the Pyramid of the Sun reaches 63 meters, comparable to a 20-story building. The Avenue of the Dead stretches for more than a kilometer, creating an impression that time has stopped. Footsteps are so clear that it seems as if the ancient inhabitants of the city are still walking along these stone streets. Each step echoes, reflecting off the walls built thousands of years ago, while the wind gently brushes against the magnificent structures, adding a certain charm. But what is truly astonishing is that the creators of Teotihuacan remain a mystery. Their culture and language are still not deciphered, and many believe they were not the Aztecs as commonly thought. Scientific research shows that the city reached its peak between the 1st and 8th centuries AD, when it was home to up to 100,000 people. But what caused this once great place to fall into disrepair? Answers remain unclear, and archaeologists continue to search for clues in the ruins. The city's geometric layout is striking in its precision. Streets intersect at right angles, making Teotihuacan one of the most well-planned cities of antiquity. The pyramids of the sun and the moon are not only grand, but also symbolize the connection between heaven and earth, and their alignment is perfectly aligned with astronomical phenomena. Surrounding the Avenue of the Dead are residential quarters, and each building, each street, tells a story of which we know so little. When you stand atop the Pyramid of the Sun and look down at the Avenue of the Dead, you feel as if you are part of this ancient civilization. It is only possible to imagine how vibrant and bustling it once was, and in the shadow of these magnificent structures lies another mystery. How exactly were these giants built? Some researchers suggest that a system of ramps up to a kilometer long was used, but how did they lift such massive stones? This remains a question without an answer. Shocking fact, on a map created by Ottoman Admiral Piri Reis in 1513, the coastline of Antarctica is depicted, which is still hidden under an ice cap. But that's not all. The admiral claimed to have used ancient sources, including maps created before our era. Imagine how this could be, maps created based on knowledge lost for centuries, which could contain information about continents unknown to the modern world. How is it possible that in the 16th century, when geography was just beginning to develop, someone could draw such detailed outlines that match modern concepts of continents? Research shows that the map of Piri Reis was made with remarkable accuracy. For example, some coastal lines match modern data on the outline of Antarctica obtained using satellite technology. But how could the admiral have access to such knowledge? There are many theories, including the suggestion that ancient civilizations such as the Egyptians and Phoenicians could have had access to these lands long before the continents were discovered by Europeans. And here comes the really strange part. Other ancient maps, such as the map of Fra Mauro created in the 14th century, also show territories that do not correspond to known data at the time. This map contains details about the Indian Ocean and Eastern Asia, which, it appears, were compiled based on earlier maps that had lost their relevance. What's even more shocking, some researchers even suggest that these maps could have been made based on oral tradition passed down through generations or knowledge lost after global catastrophes. Amazing discoveries continue to be made by scientists analyzing old maps with modern technologies, and this opens up new horizons for understanding the history of cartography. For example, using computer modeling, old maps have been recreated to show what the Earth looked like at that time. But what if the true reason for such accuracy lies in the fact that there were once highly advanced civilizations on Earth about which we know nothing? Such thoughts certainly spark interest, and research continues to reveal new pages in the history of cartography. Giant pyramids, such as those we see in Egypt, Mesoamerica, and even China, do not merely impress with their size, they raise questions about the possible connection between civilizations located at opposite ends of the world. Imagine this. While the Egyptians were building their Pyramid of Cheops, which stands at 146 meters tall in Mexico, they were constructing Pyramid of the Sun, which could rival the Egyptian giants in volume. These structures were not just tombs for pharaohs or sites for rituals, they were true astronomical observatories precisely aligned with astronomical events. For instance, compare the alignment of the pyramid in Giza with the one in Teotihuacan. Both are oriented towards the rising sun on specific days of the year. But this is not all. There are pyramids in China that remain a mystery to archaeologists, and their shape and location also evoke associations with similar structures in other cultures. How is it possible that such remarkable parallels arise over such vast distances, separated by oceans? Some researchers have proposed the theory of diffusionism, suggesting that ideas and technologies spread through trade routes and population migrations. Others speak of an ancient mother civilization that could have been the source of these knowledge. Did you know that similar solar symbols, such as circles and spirals, appear in various cultures, from Native American tribes to ancient Indians? They are used in rituals connected with solar cycles and represent an extraordinary cultural intersection. But what is even more astonishing is the specific technologies, like the use of volcanic glass or special stoneworking methods, found in different parts of the world around the same time. This raises the question, how could different peoples without modern means of communication simultaneously create similar technologies and symbolism? Now imagine that in different corners of the planet there were common myths about a flood, so similar that they seem to tell the same story. In the Bible, Sumerian texts, and the myth of Mu, heroes fight against a flood that destroys humanity. These stories may not just be coincidences, but reflections of a deep, hidden connection between civilizations that remains unexplained. While scientists continue to explore these connections, some facts, such as the similarities in architecture, symbolism, and myths, remain a true enigma. Imagine a black basalt stone lying before you with 3 identical texts carved into its rough surface. This is the Rosetta Stone, which became the key to deciphering the mysterious world of ancient Egyptian hieroglyphs. Its dimensions are approximately 7 inches in height and over 2 inches in width, with a weight of about 700 kilograms. The stone bears texts in Greek, Demotic, and hieroglyphic languages, making it a unique artifact for linguists and historians. In the 18th century, when the stone was found in Egypt, the hieroglyphs remained a mystery, and their meaning was lost for thousands of years. However, everything changed when Jean-François Champollion, a French scholar, studied this stone and began comparing the texts. He noticed that the Greek version of the text, written in a known language, matched the Demotic and hieroglyphic versions. Champollion used his knowledge and the Greek text to match symbols and determine that many of them represented sounds, not just ideas. On April 18, 1812, he announced his discovery, claiming that he had deciphered the hieroglyphs. This was a true breakthrough that opened the doors to understanding ancient Egyptian culture, religion, and history. Thanks to this discovery, archaeologists could read ancient texts, including the tombs of pharaohs and the walls of temples, and this allowed scholars to learn about the lives and beliefs of people from 1,000 years ago. The rough surface of the Rosetta Stone, with its traces of time, evokes a sense of touching history. Each sign carved into the dark background seems alive, as behind them lie stories of gods, heroes, and the everyday life of ancient Egyptians. Many secrets that had long remained in the shadows are now accessible to understanding, and this discovery changed the field of historical science forever. Did you know that it was precisely this stone that allowed us to finally read texts that had been lost to humanity for almost 2,000 years? Queen Nefertiti, renowned for her extraordinary beauty, became a symbol of power and mystery, shrouding her personality and fate. Imagine statues depicting her with perfect facial features, high cheekbones, and vividly painted eyes that could captivate the hearts of millions. This woman was not just the wife of Pharaoh Akhenaten, but also his partner in the religious revolution, as they sought to introduce the cult of the single god Aton into the heart of polytheistic Egypt. However, what is intriguing is that after the 12th year of Akhenaten's reign, mentions of Nefertiti suddenly disappear, as if she vanished into thin air. How did this happen? Some researchers suggest that she might have fallen victim to an epidemic that claimed many lives at the time, while others believe she could have been exiled from the capital of Akhetaten, where she ruled alongside Akhenaten. A more captivating theory proposes that Nefertiti might have changed her name and continued her rule as a co-regent or even a sole ruler under the name Smenkhkare. This version rekindles interest in her personality and role in the history of ancient Egypt. Remarkably, searches for her tomb continue to this day. In the 20th century, archaeologists discovered a mysterious mummy known as the Younger Lady, which may belong to Nefertiti. Strange coincidences in her age and characteristics raise numerous questions. Is this mummy truly the queen whose images seem to be forever lost in the past? With each new discovery, the mystery of her disappearance becomes even more complex, leaving us in anticipation of new findings and revelations that could shed light on her fate. Imagine cold crystal cherubs carved with such precision that every anatomical detail appears absolutely flawless. These artifacts, discovered in Central America, emit an extraordinary glow, refracting light in such a way that it seems as if something alive is inside them. Their transparent material is mesmerizing. With each movement, they play with the surrounding light, creating enigmatic reflections that make you ponder what lies beyond our perception. The empty eye sockets turned towards you seem to follow every step you take, evoking the feeling that these cherubs hold ancient secrets. Some researchers claim that these cherubs possess mystical properties, capable of healing or even predicting the future. However, what is shocking is that other scientists insist that they could be skillful forgeries created in the 19th century when interest in exoticism and antiquities was particularly popular. How is this possible? What made these cherubs so attractive to those seeking something more than just museum exhibits? There are individual specimens that weighed up to 30 kilograms, each a result of incredible efforts, requiring up to 100 hours of polishing. But that's not all. Some believe that the cherubs were created using technologies that did not exist at the time. How could ancient civilizations achieve such precision? The mystery remains unanswered, and each new, discovered cherub adds fuel to the fire of debates. Do you know what is even more strange? Some of these cherubs even have the ability to emit sounds when touched, creating the impression that they can communicate with us. How many more secrets are hidden behind these crystal artifacts, and what discoveries await us in the future? In the mountains of China, mysterious granite discs with a diameter of around 30 centimeters have been discovered. And that's not all. Each disc has a central hole and spiral grooves that resemble micro-engraving. Known as the Dropper discs, these artifacts raise numerous questions, and their history is truly captivating. In 1938, archaeologist Chi Pu Te stumbled upon these strange objects in isolated caves surrounded by high cliffs and dense forests where time seemed to have stopped. How did they get there? Do the discs bear inscriptions about the crash of a spacecraft? This hypothesis has drawn the attention of many researchers and enthusiasts of mysteries, but many scientists consider this story a hoax. The spiral patterns on the discs, reminiscent of ancient runes, arouse curiosity and give a sense of touching something potentially extraterrestrial. Imagine these discs in the dim light of torches, casting shadows on the cave walls where they had long remained forgotten. But that's not all. Attempts to decipher these enigmatic symbols continue, and each new version only adds fuel to the debate. Some researchers claim that their inscriptions could contain information about the technologies of ancient civilizations or even about extraterrestrial contacts. But how can one decipher something that is already so difficult to understand? 80 years of research efforts have not brought final answers, but the mystery of the dropper discs continues to intrigue scientists and lovers of secrets. Local legends around the discs say that they were left by aliens, but their true origin remains hidden from human eyes. These artifacts continue to attract adventurers and scholars eager to unravel their secrets and learn what really happened in these remote mountains. With each new discovery, the mystery deepens, and on the threshold of new research, we can only guess what other secrets are hidden in these stone discs. In the Library of Alexandria there were stored up to 700,000 scrolls, and this place became a symbol of knowledge and wisdom of the ancient world. Imagine thousands of papyrus scrolls neatly arranged on shelves, their rustling reminiscent of the wind in a forest, and the scent of parchment filling the air, creating an atmosphere of solitude and mystery. Each scroll contained treasures of thought, from philosophy to mathematics, from medicine to astronomy, all collected with incredible care. Every time a ship arrived at the port, copies of all the texts were taken off it, and the originals were often sent to the library, allowing it to grow and enrich itself with new knowledge. But what is even more mysterious? The library did not simply disappear, its destruction is shrouded in many secrets and legends. One of the most popular versions states that in the year 68 BC, during the siege of Alexandria by Julius Caesar, part of the scrolls was destroyed in a fire that engulfed the city. Imagine the flames consuming priceless knowledge, leaving only ashes and shadows. But this is not the only version. According to another version, after the conquest of Alexandria by the Arabs, the Caliph Omar ordered the remaining scrolls to be destroyed, considering them to be contrary to the Quran. And here begins the truly bizarre. Some claim that the library gradually faded away, losing funding and attention, and eventually became a forgotten place. How could it be that the treasury of knowledge which once attracted scholars from all over the world could become just a shadow of its former glory? In various historical treatises it is mentioned that the library was home to minds like Eratosthenes, who calculated the circumference of the earth with remarkable accuracy. Only imagine how the ancient texts were illuminated by the soft light of oil lamps, creating a magical glow that seemed to bring the words to life. And yet, despite the numerous versions of its destruction, the question remains: how could such a vast collection of knowledge have disappeared? What secret did time take with it, leaving only the myth of its greatness? Suddenly, like a thunderclap in a clear sky, the archaeological horizons of Europe are illuminated by the presence of Cro-Magnons, people who would astound even the most skilled contemporary artists with their ability to create realistic cave paintings and sculptures. Imagine the atmosphere. Deep within caves, the glow of primitive lamps flickers, and on the damp walls, painted with red and black, animals come to life, as if they are about to emerge on a hunt. These artists did not merely leave traces of their existence, they created a whole world filled with symbols and meanings that remain a mystery to researchers. Where did such skills come from? They used needles with eyes, which allowed them to sew clothes and create tools necessary for survival. Harpoons up to 2 meters long and atlatls, spear throwers that increased the force of the throw, testify to their high level of technical achievement. How did the Cro-Magnons acquire these skills without apparent predecessors? Their art is astonishing in its complexity. Each line on the cave walls tells a story that we can only guess. These are not just animal images, they are a whole mythology reflecting their perception of the world. Complex hunting scenes where herds of bison or mammoths are depicted with such accuracy that the scent of the wild seems to reach us. And amidst this artistic splendor, a question arises: how could such a high culture emerge virtually from nowhere? Researchers suggest that the Cro-Magnons might have acquired knowledge from earlier groups of people or developed it independently, but this only deepens the mystery. Each discovery, each new cave revealing its secrets, leaves us with more questions than answers. And what is truly astonishing? The Cro-Magnons not only painted, they created musical instruments such as flutes made from bones, which could have sounded in rhythm with their dances, uniting generations across thousands of years. Few people realize that the ancient Romans invented concrete, which not only withstood the test of time, but also grew stronger with each passing century. This remarkable material included volcanic ash, allowing it to harden even underwater and create durable structures that have stood for centuries. Imagine aqueducts stretching for tens of kilometers, not only delivering fresh water to cities, but also becoming symbols of Roman engineering prowess. Some aqueducts reached heights of 40 meters, with such a slight incline that water flowed almost imperceptibly, creating a sound that carried far, like a gentle whisper of nature. Now recall the thermae, Roman baths, where the coolness inside was ensured by thick walls made of this unique concrete. Even on the hottest day, entering the thermae, you could feel refreshing coolness, as if stepping into an oasis. But that's not all. Roman roads paved with large stones were so well designed that many of them still serve today, forming the basis of modern routes. Imagine the smoothness of stone polished by centuries, a testament not only to craftsmanship but also to technological advancement. These roads connected cities and provinces, allowing Roman legions to move with incredible speed. Did you know that Romans used special techniques to ensure the longevity of their structures? For instance, they added sea salt to concrete, increasing its resistance to corrosion. And here's where it gets truly astonishing. Some of these structures, like the Pantheon, still have their original domes, reaching heights of 40 meters and marveling with their architectural elegance. Now imagine that in this dome there is an opening with a diameter of 9 meters, allowing sunlight to enter and creating a unique atmosphere. It's fascinating that Roman builders used a system of forms, enabling them to create complex geometric shapes that still astound modern architects. The curse of the pharaohs. As soon as you hear this phrase, a chill runs down your spine. Many believe that the tombs of ancient Egyptians are guarded by invisible forces, and those who dare disturb their peace will inevitably face terrible consequences. The most famous case is, of course, the death of Lord Carnarvon shortly after the discovery of Tutankhamun's tomb in 1922. Just a few months after entering the tomb and finding untold treasures, he suddenly died from a mosquito bite, which led to an infection and, as it is believed, sepsis. But this is just the beginning. Soon after his death, rumors of the curse that supposedly guarded the tomb began to circulate. Following Carnarvon were others who were somehow connected to the discovery. One archaeologist died from a mysterious fever, another lost his sight, and a third was killed in a car accident. Just coincidences? Or was it indeed a curse laid down by ancient pharaohs? But wait, there are also scientific explanations. Some researchers claim that the tombs could have contained toxic mold spores that released harmful toxins, capable of causing serious illnesses. Imagine it. Dim light from torches illuminating hieroglyphic warnings on the walls, and the musty air of ancient burial chambers where every dusty crack seems like a chilling reminder that once great rulers lay here. Entering such a tomb is impossible without feeling unease, as if time itself slows down and spirits of the past watch you. But this is not all. Some scientists believe that psychosomatic effects played a significant role in these tragic events. People, knowing about the curse, could experience fear and anxiety, which, in turn, could contribute to their physical ailments. It's as if the very thoughts of the curse became a catalyst for diseases. Indeed, in such an atmosphere, it's easy to succumb to panic when every sound seems like a harbinger of doom. And all this mystical enigma makes the curse of the pharaohs so appealing to researchers and enthusiasts of the supernatural. It's intriguing to wonder how many more secrets are hidden within these ancient stones. Have you ever wondered where the first civilization came from, as if it appeared out of nowhere? In Mesopotamia, between the Tigris and Euphrates rivers, around 4,000 years before our era, the Sumerian culture emerged, about which legends still circulate. This mysterious civilization possessed cuneiform writing, architecture, and a complex social structure. The Sumerians called themselves black-headed and believed that their knowledge and achievements were brought by mysterious beings known as the Anunnaki. Who were these beings, and how did they influence the development of such an advanced culture? The Sumerians built city-states like Ur and Uruk, with magnificent temples and towers reaching 30 meters in height. But that's not all. Their irrigation systems allowed them to cultivate land, turning arid fields into fertile oases. Imagine Sumerian fields where reeds rustle softly in the wind, and in the distance you hear the sound of clay tablets as scribes, using styluses, record important events and trade transactions. The Sumerians not only knew how to farm, but were also true explorers of the heavens. They created precise tables of planetary movements, including those that cannot be seen with the naked eye, such as Neptune and Pluto. Did you know that they were the first to develop the concept of time, dividing the day into 12 hours, which we still use today? Now imagine that the Sumerians also began to use a number system based on 6. This means that through them, the understanding of 60 minutes in an hour and 360 degrees in a circle came. Could such knowledge have appeared by chance? The answer to this question is hidden between the lines of their cuneiform, which is still studied by scientists. Every discovered artifact, every tablet with inscriptions opens new horizons, making us wonder who those mysterious creators of civilization really were. Among the mysteries that the Colombian Quimbaya culture preserves, there are striking golden figurines that remarkably resemble modern airplanes. These small artifacts, crafted from gold, feature triangular wings and a vertical stabilizer, which has sparked genuine interest among researchers and history enthusiasts. The form, reminiscent of a fuselage, raises the question, how could such artistry have emerged in an era when humanity was just beginning to master metal? Under museum lights, the gold's gleam creates a dazzling sight, highlighting the elegance of the lines, and each detail seems deliberate and honest, as if an ancient jeweler had poured their soul into it. But this is not the most intriguing part. When these figurines were scaled up to create models, they resulted in aerodynamically stable objects, leading one to wonder, did ancient civilizations possess knowledge that we cannot yet explain? Some researchers suggest that these golden airplanes could serve as evidence of the existence of aircraft used by our ancestors. However, other interpretations indicate that they were stylized depictions of birds or insects, as nature played a significant role in the Quimbaya culture's worldview. These miniature works of art not only showcase technical skill, but also reflect a deep connection to the surrounding world. In the context of primitive manufacturing techniques, these artifacts appear futuristic, as if they were created in another era. How did ancient craftsmen achieve such mastery using only primitive tools? These figurines open up a whole world of mysteries where each detail can tell a story. And the most astonishing thing? Some of these figurines are similar in size to modern airplane models, challenging our understanding of the capabilities of ancient civilizations. In Mérida, the capital of Yucatan, lies a remarkable enigma that beckons historians and archaeologists. Founded in the 16th century, this city is built on the ruins of older Maya settlements, and its architecture is a stunning blend of styles and cultures. Walls made of stones meticulously crafted to perfection incorporate elements of Maya traditions, Toltec motifs, and even Spanish colonial style, creating a unique harmony that whispers of bygone eras. With each step along the narrow streets, one can feel the breath of history, where the sounds of the tropical forest merge with the soft rustling of leaves embracing ancient structures. It is said that Mérida was a significant trading and cultural hub, linking various civilizations from the Maya to the Spanish. But what transpired within these walls? There are theories that the city was a meeting place for merchants and scholars who exchanged not only goods but also knowledge. Excavations in Mérida have unearthed remarkable artifacts, such as pottery adorned with intricate patterns and tools that suggest distant contacts with cultures beyond Mexico. Notably, some of these findings bear similarities to artifacts discovered in South America, raising questions about the extent of ancient trade routes. The dense jungle surrounding the ruins creates an atmosphere of mystery and magic, and each new discovery adds another chapter to the history of this enigmatic place. For instance, archaeologists have found fragments of ancient scrolls depicting significant events in the city's history, making Mérida not just an object of study, but a treasure trove of knowledge about cultural interactions. Did you know that among the found artifacts were even toys that could have belonged to the children of the ancient inhabitants? This discovery offers a unique glimpse into the daily life and joys of people who lived here centuries ago. Each new layer of earth that archaeologists uncover speaks of the many secrets still waiting to be revealed in Mérida. Incredibly but true, ancient civilizations possessed knowledge of the cosmos that astounds modern scientists. For instance, the Maya were able to calculate the length of the solar year with an accuracy of up to 20 seconds, differing from current data by only 3 minutes. Their astronomical tables recorded the movements of planets and predicted solar and lunar eclipses, allowing them to plan significant societal events. Meanwhile, the Babylonians, who lived centuries before them, predicted lunar eclipses with such precision that it would amaze even today's astronomers. Their cuneiform records contain data on eclipses that occurred more than 2,000 years ago, highlighting their exceptional observational skills. But that's not all. The builders of Newgrange in Ireland created a structure that was illuminated by the sun's rays only on the winter solstice, demonstrating a deep understanding of solar cycles. Imagine the silence in the temple observatory under the star-studded night sky as ancient astronomers observed celestial phenomena, feeling part of something grand. And the Antikythera mechanism, found at the bottom of the Aegean Sea, is a unique device used to calculate the movements of celestial bodies, including the moon and planets. This ancient mechanism, created around the 1st century BC, may be one of the earliest computers in human history, enabling its owners to predict astronomical events. How was this possible? The answer lies in their desire to understand and predict natural phenomena. Each glance at the night sky was filled with awe, for the stars were not just lights, but harbingers of change. Of course, none of these civilizations had access to modern technology, but their knowledge of the cosmos was based on decades of observations and profound contemplation. And what's even more astonishing, they even developed their own calendars used for planning agricultural work, religious holidays, and even military campaigns. At an altitude of more than 3,000 meters above sea level lies a mysterious place that continues to puzzle scientists and historians, Puma Punku. Here, one can see stone blocks weighing up to 800 tons, which were cut with such precision that not even a knife blade can fit between them. Imagine perfect right angles and absolutely smooth surfaces that even modern architects find astonishing. These blocks are made of andesite and granite, materials that are extremely difficult to work with, even with modern tools. How did ancient builders create such engineering marvels? But this is not the most intriguing part. Some blocks are connected by metal clamps which remain an unsolved mystery to this day. Why were they used? The lack of written records about the construction of Puma Punku adds to the mystery of this place. How could people, without modern technologies, create such an architectural wonder? In the thin mountain air, there is a sense of silence, as if the place holds secrets from the ages. Surrounding it is a rugged landscape, but here, among the ancient ruins, there is an atmosphere of incredible precision and skill. Each rustle of the wind seems like a reminder that life once existed here, but now only stones remain, holding countless secrets. How did all these constructions survive for centuries? And this is just the beginning, for beneath the earth, there may be even more astonishing discoveries waiting to be uncovered. The Hanging Gardens of Semiramis, according to legends, were a true spectacle that captivated all who saw them. Imagine terraces supported by powerful columns that rose to the heavens like stone towers surrounded by greenery. Ancient masters designed a complex irrigation system that lifted water from the Euphrates, sustaining life in these extraordinary gardens. The sound of water flowing in the channels was created by the skilled hands of engineers of that time, who invented mechanisms to raise water to heights exceeding 30 meters. This was necessary to maintain exotic plants that, as they say, emitted aromas capable of enchanting anyone. However, despite their fame as one of the 7 wonders of the world, archaeologists have yet to find definitive remains of these gardens, which has sparked heated debates about their actual existence. Scholars suggest that these gardens may never have existed in the form described, and all that remains are myths born of the imagination of ancient people. But how did they look? Imagine the coolness of shady spots where one could escape the heat of the Mesopotamian climate, and the contrast of green with the surrounding desert, which spread its sands under the scorching sun. A multitude of different plants, from palms to rare flowers, created a symphony of colors and scents that perhaps evoked a sense of paradise on earth in travelers. In this oasis of life, one could not only hear the rustling of leaves, but also the singing of birds that nested among the dense vegetation. Each guest stepping onto these terraces could feel a sense of wonder and awe. And do you know what is most astonishing? Scientific research suggests that these gardens may have even had their own ecosystems, supporting life not only for plants, but also for various animals. Did you know what they say about ziggurats? They are not just buildings, but true staircases to heaven. Some of them reach 90 meters in height, towering over cities like monumental lighthouses of the past. Their distinctive stepped form, reminiscent of the steps of a giant staircase, created the illusion that they reached towards the divine. Each step was lined with fired clay bricks, and the external walls were often covered with glazed tiles that reflected sunlight, making the ziggurats visible from afar. But what was their true purpose? There are various theories. Some researchers claim that ziggurats were temples where priests communicated with gods, while others believe they were astronomical observatories from which one could observe stars and planets. It is also interesting that some historians suggest that these structures served as shelters during floods, protecting residents from the elements. No less intriguing is the version that ziggurats symbolize the world mountain, a sacred place where heaven and earth are united. Imagine standing on the upper platform of a ziggurat, looking out over the entire city, where long shadows cast by its majestic walls gradually engulf the streets in evening darkness. Each step up the monumental staircases seems to bring you closer to the very heavens, and the wind rustles your hair as if filling it with sacred energy. Near ziggurats, you can feel history breathing in every brick, for some of them were built more than 4,000 years ago. Now imagine standing at the foot of one of these giants, feeling your heart beat in rhythm with the ancient pulse of this land. An interesting fact, the ziggurat in Ur, one of the most famous, had 8 levels and was dedicated to the moon god Nanna. Ancient texts from various cultures are filled with mysterious descriptions that can be interpreted as evidence of divine chariots. For example, the Vedas mention Vimanas, celestial machines described as shining and swift, leaving a trail of light. The Bible contains references to chariots of fire that descend from the heavens accompanied by thunder and strong winds, creating an atmosphere of power and majesty. Sumerian texts also touch upon this theme. There, gods travel on chariots that are described as capable of flight, and their appearance is often accompanied by bright flashes and sound effects that could captivate any observer. However, there is an intriguing detail. Theories proposed by Erich von Däniken suggest that these ancient descriptions could be evidence of contact with extraterrestrial beings. He posits that highly advanced civilizations might have left traces in myths and legends, transmitting information about their technologies. Yet, it is not so simple. Many researchers believe that such descriptions are metaphorical, reflecting natural phenomena or mythological constructs created to explain the unknown. Regardless, the images of flying chariots of gods remain some of the most intriguing and debated topics in history. These devices, described in ancient texts, not only captivate the imagination, but also raise questions about what stood behind such powerful images. Imagine the scene. A brilliant light illuminates the sky, thunderous noise fills the air, and the wind howls as if the world itself is reacting to this divine intervention. Such a scene could easily become the beginning of a great story that would captivate entire generations. But what if we never learn the truth about what really happened in those distant times? One thing is clear, these texts open a door to a world where reality and myth intertwine, creating endless possibilities for interpretations and research. Conduct your own research, for behind these ancient words lie secrets waiting to be discovered. In the Temple of Hathor in Dendera, there are bas-reliefs that spark genuine debates among scholars, elongated objects that at first glance resemble incandescent lamps with some kind of wire inside and a connection that could be interpreted as a power source. These enigmatic images raise questions. Did ancient Egyptians possess knowledge associated with electricity, or are they merely symbolic depictions of the lotus flower associated with the rising sun, as some researchers suggest? But wait, there's more. Beyond these bas-reliefs, there are other evidence that might indicate the existence of ancient chemical and electrical knowledge. For instance, gilded artifacts found in other parts of Egypt demonstrate remarkable metalworking technologies, while the preserved paints used on the walls of temples continue to astonish with their vibrancy even after thousands of years. Imagine the atmosphere of the temple, soft, subdued light gently touching the ancient bas-reliefs, transforming them into a living history filled with mysteries. Each detail seems imbued with secrets that entice and intrigue, making us ponder what else these people might have known. Researchers continue to analyze these images, and some of them hypothesize that these bas-reliefs depict not only devices but also methods of energy production that could have been used for lighting. Intriguing details about how these lamps might have worked raise even more questions. How could ancient people create such technologies without modern knowledge? And here's another interesting fact. In the very heart of the temple, amidst the vaults and columns, traces of unknown chemical compounds were found, which could indicate that ancient Egyptians possessed not only practical but also theoretical knowledge in the field of chemistry. These artifacts, like fragments of an unreachable past, evoke awe and reverence, making us wonder how many more secrets the history of ancient Egypt holds. Imagine standing beside massive stone blocks, each weighing up to 50 tons and transported over distances of up to 240 kilometers. These colossal boulders, elongated and cold to the touch, hold secrets that remain unsolved to this day. The wind whistling between the stones creates an eerie echo, as if they are whispering ancient tales that we cannot comprehend. But what was the purpose of this enigmatic complex? Some scientists propose that Stonehenge could have served as an ancient observatory, allowing people to track the movements of the sun and moon, with its precise astronomical alignment marking significant moments in the solar calendar. During the summer solstice, sunlight penetrates between the stones, creating a magical spectacle as the light falls directly into the center of the complex, emphasizing its sacredness. Other researchers believe that this place could have been a ritual center where ancient people performed ceremonies related to life, death, and healing. In this energy-filled space, each touch of the cold stone evokes a sense of coolness and power, as if they hold within them millions of years of history. But how were such massive stones moved? Some theories suggest that wooden sleds and rollers, along with complex systems of ropes and levers, were used. This required extraordinary skill and knowledge, which seemed unlikely for people of that time. And so, we are once again left to wonder, how could such technologies have existed? Many rituals and ceremonies conducted here could have been linked to astronomical events, such as eclipses or changes in seasons. Stonehenge may have been a gathering place for tribes who believed in its healing power. Regardless, this complex continues to inspire awe and questions, making us ponder what truly happened at this site thousands of years ago. Scientific research continues to reveal new aspects of its construction and purpose, and the most intriguing discovery? A recent analysis showed that some stones could have been transported from Wales, meaning the ancient builders traversed significant distances to create something monumental. Imagine the cool caves of Liguria, where mysterious drawings have been preserved on the walls, which at first glance resemble modern submersibles. These extraordinary images, dating back over 30,000 years, spark intense debates among archaeologists and historians. The dim light filtering through narrow cracks allows you to discern the details of these figures. Some have rounded shapes and long tentacles, evoking associations with contemporary submarines and drones. But the most intriguing part is this. Some researchers suggest that these images could be evidence of ancient technologies we never knew existed. However, there are other interpretations as well. Many scientists believe these drawings are more likely to represent stylized boats or images of local animals, such as dolphins and sea serpents. Each interpretation opens new avenues for discussion, adding more mysteries to these artifacts. The caves where the drawings were found create an atmosphere of secrecy. The walls are worn by time, and the cold air reminds us that people once lived here, leaving their mark on history. And what's even more astonishing, in these same caves, tools were discovered that indicate a high level of craftsmanship by their creators. These stone tools ensured survival in harsh conditions, and their complexity underscores that these ancient people were exceptional craftsmen. So, what were they really depicting on these walls? Perhaps they were trying to record their knowledge of the depths of the sea or leave signs for future generations. Each drawing is not just a picture, but a whole story waiting to be revealed. And among these ancient images, you might notice something that looks like a deep-sea explorer, which could have been the result of fantasy or the dream of people from that time. The question remains, what inspired them to create such enigmatic figures? In the shadows of ancient temples, where life once thrived, now only the rustling of leaves and the cries of wild animals fill the abandoned palaces. Suddenly, between the 8th and 9th centuries of our era, the Maya civilization left behind their magnificent cities, and the mystery of their disappearance continues to puzzle researchers. This enigmatic loss concerns not only cultural achievements but also the inexplicable decline of a flourishing civilization that once numbered up to 10 million people. What happened? One of the most popular theories points to drought. climate change could have caused a sharp decrease in rainfall, leading to the desiccation of agricultural lands. Additionally, resources were depleted, and the struggle for survival grew increasingly intense, like the quiet whisper of the wind in the forest, foretelling a storm. But this is not all. Epidemics may have also played a role, decimating the population and leaving behind only ruins. Imagine how once bustling markets fell silent, and the once vibrant streets filled with life became desolate. And here begins the truly bizarre. Wars between city-states likely exacerbated tensions, leading to social unrest that shattered unity and forced many to abandon their homes. Simultaneously, this mysterious disappearance was accompanied by an atmosphere of fear and uncertainty, as the ancient temples, surrounded by jungles, echoed with the sounds of wild animals reclaiming these blessed lands. What is even more shocking? According to the latest data, up to 70% of the population may have left their homes, leaving behind the magnificent architectural creations that still inspire awe. Each abandoned street seems to hold secrets of the past, and the sounds of nature penetrating these ancient walls remind us of the once prosperous culture now lost to oblivion. The mysteries of the afterlife of ancient Egyptians are shrouded in numerous myths and riddles. The Book of the Dead is not merely a collection of spells, but a genuine map for the soul that journeys into Duat, the realm of the dead, filled with dangers. This book contained over 140 spells aimed at protecting the deceased from malevolent beings and trials that awaited them on the path to eternal life. In the heart of every Egyptian lay a belief that after death something greater awaited them, and that the right words and rituals would help them overcome all obstacles. Imagine the moment when the heart of the deceased was weighed against the feather of Maat, the goddess of truth and justice, in the presence of Osiris, the god of the underworld. If the heart was heavier than the feather, the soul faced dark times. But if it was lighter, the soul could enter the fields of Aru, a place of eternal bliss where happiness and abundance reigned. However, this was not all. For a successful journey into the afterlife, not only spells were needed, but also a meticulously prepared body. Mummification, a process that lasted up to 70 days, served not only to preserve the body, but also symbolized the desire for immortality. Various items were placed in the tombs, from jewelry to food and drink, so that the deceased could enjoy them in the afterlife. Picture the flickering of torches casting shadows on the walls of the burial chambers, creating an atmosphere of mystery and sanctity. Each element of the ritual, from anointing the body with oils to wrapping it in bandages, was filled with deep meaning and respect for the departed. Ancient Egyptians believed that each spell, each item placed in the tomb, played a critically important role in ensuring a safe passage into the afterlife. And the most astonishing thing? The texts from the Book of the Dead were not just a guide, but a living part of the culture that has endured through the centuries, allowing us to peer into the minds of people who sought answers to the most profound questions of life and death. Have you ever wondered how ancient civilizations provided themselves with water? Roman aqueducts, stretching for tens of kilometers, could transport water from mountain sources to cities where it was distributed from fountains and ponds. Remarkably, some aqueducts, such as the one in Nemours, have survived to this day and are impressive, with their arches reaching 24 meters in height. Mohenjo-Daro, on the other side of the world, had one of the oldest sewage systems, with underground channels lined with bricks that ensured the drainage of wastewater. These channels were so advanced that several people could pass through them. Now imagine the Cretan water supply systems made of terracotta, which provided access to water in every house. Water pipes laid more than 4,000 years ago were so durable that their fragments are still found by archaeologists today. not only in homes but also in the public baths of Rome, where the sound of water created a cozy atmosphere, and the vaulted ceilings echoed with laughter and conversations. Minoan toilets with a flushing system were a true engineering marvel. Water flowing through channels ensured hygiene even in the oldest settlements. Can you imagine the contrast between the clean running water and the dusty streets where merchants and townsfolk would walk in the mornings? In Rome, the baths served not only as places for bathing, but also as centers of social life, where people gathered to discuss news and politics, and the warm marble surfaces of the baths reminded one of the luxury available only to the elite. Have you ever thought about how much time it took to create such complex systems? The construction of aqueducts often took decades, and their design required not only knowledge but also immense effort to ensure that water could flow naturally without any obstacles. And here is where it gets even more fascinating. Some aqueducts used special keystone blocks that allowed the construction of arches without cement. Ancient engineers truly understood physics and mechanics, enabling them to create structures that continue to awe us today. The Sphinx, standing on the plateau of Giza, holds secrets that may be much older than commonly believed. Some researchers are convinced that the erosion observed on its body could have been caused only by rains that were characteristic of the region more than 10,000 years ago. Imagine a stone weathered by the relentless flow of water that once ran across this land when there were no pyramids on the horizon and the climate was entirely different. Geological studies have shown that the signs of erosion clearly indicate prolonged periods of rainfall, which casts doubt on the official chronology of the Sphinx's creation. But this is not all. The astronomical orientation of the Sphinx towards the constellation Leo suggests that it was built in an era when this constellation was at its zenith around 10,500 years before our time. This makes it not just a monument but a whole testament to the knowledge of ancient astronomers who could predict the movements of celestial bodies. Picture the moment when the first rays of the sun touch its face. The play of light and shadow gives it almost a human expression, as if it knows something that eludes us. This silent grandeur, defying time, makes us ponder what else lies hidden beneath the layers of sand and centuries, and this opens the doors to new questions about civilizations that may have preceded us, leaving riddles that await their time. Against this backdrop, the Sphinx becomes not just an object of study, but a living part of our history which could tell us more than we are ready to hear. As if it looks at us with bewilderment, inviting us to unravel its mysteries. Have you ever wondered how ancient builders could create such monumental structures as the Egyptian pyramids? Imagine this: stone blocks weighing up to 80 tons, perfectly fitted together with gaps of less than 1 millimeter. These pyramids, like giant steps, tower over ancient Egypt, and their alignment with the cardinal directions is truly astonishing. They were oriented with such precision that their angles deviate by only 1 second. But how did they achieve this? There are dozens of theories, each more intriguing than the last. Some scientists suggest the use of ramps along which the blocks were raised to the peak. Others propose a system of levers that allowed for the manipulation of massive stones, though this would require incredible strength and coordination. And some even claim that the blocks were moved along waterways, which sounds almost fantastical. Now imagine the atmosphere around these marvels. The scorching sun of the desert burns the earth, and the sound of stone rubbing creates an unforgettable noise. The scent of fresh limestone mixes with the sweat of thousands of workers who, like ants, toil to create these monuments. The shadows cast by the pyramids at sunset seem to come alive, enveloping the earth, and it feels as if history itself breathes in this sacred place. How much effort was required to raise these giants while remaining in harmony with nature and time? And what is even more astonishing, modern research shows that in some cases wooden rollers were used to transport the blocks, opening up new horizons for understanding the engineering genius of the ancient Egyptians. The underwater enigma known as the Bimini Road stretches 30 meters in length and consists of perfectly laid rectangular blocks that beckon researchers of mysterious depths. Sunlight dances on the water, creating illusions of light and shadow, while swaying seaweed wraps around these stone formations as if trying to conceal them from prying eyes. But here's the thing. Some scientists claim these are remnants of a submerged civilization, perhaps even the legendary Atlantis that philosophers and writers have dreamed of. Others, more skeptical, argue that it's merely a natural geological formation created by the forces of nature. Yet how to explain the perfect symmetry of these blocks, which appear as if someone meticulously laid them out? Edgar Cayce, the renowned American medium, predicted that remains of Atlantis would be found in this area, and his prophecies have sparked debate among archaeologists and historians. Imagine the sunlit days when light pierces through the water, blurring the lines between reality and myth, creating an aura of mystery around this place. There are even accounts from the 18th century of local residents speaking of strange underwater structures that could be linked to myths of lost continents. Fish swim around the Bimini Road, and in the depths of the sea, against the backdrop of the stone blocks, there's a sense of magic, as if time itself slows down. Diving into this mystery, researchers encounter questions that have no definitive answers. Each new underwater search brings new discoveries and theories that only fuel the interest. What's even more astonishing, these blocks might have been part of an ancient road that connected lost cities or entire civilizations that once thrived in this region. For centuries, societies have existed in the shadows of civilizations, preserving knowledge accessible only to the chosen few. The mysteries of Eleusis, for instance, drew people from all of Greece, promising them revelation about life after death. Participants underwent complex initiation rituals that included symbolic actions immersing them in the world of hidden truths. Did you know that these rituals were conducted under the light of torches, creating an atmosphere of mystery and sanctity? In the Pythagorean Union, which emerged in the 6th century BCE, adherents studied not only mathematics but also astronomy, philosophy, and medicine. Remarkably, Pythagoras claimed that everything could be explained through numbers, and his followers adhered to strict rules, from the oath of silence to a multi-level system of initiation, where each new level revealed deeper secrets. And what about the cult of Mithras, which existed in the Roman Empire? This cult was filled with rituals believed to connect adherents with the divine. Did you know that the cult of Mithras included rites associated with the sun and nature, and was known for its symbolic gestures and passwords passed down through generations? In such societies, there was an unbroken thread of tradition linking ancient civilizations to our time. Imagine secret gatherings where knowledge was passed from mouth to mouth, capable of fundamentally altering our understanding of the world. Ancient sages gathered in semi-darkness discussed philosophical ideas that still stir the minds of scholars today. What other secrets might be hidden behind the walls of these secret societies?